Hi folks, Pastor Charles here again, and this is going to be one of my, in my opinion, pieces. I just want to weigh in real fast. I honestly don't want to take a lot of time with this. I just want to weigh in real fast again on the AI music hubbub, that's going on right now. I was thinking about it today, and I had some thoughts, and I said, you know what, I want to share them. I'll probably get myself into all kinds of trouble, but that's okay. It's nothing new. The hubbubaloo, that's the word I was looking for. Don't get old, folks. Anyway, I just wanted to say, there are certain aspects of the entertainment industry that AI is never going to be able to compete with, ever. Even if they were to create a android that looked and sounded identical to Cher or Celine Dion or Whitney Houston, the reality is people are always going to prefer live performed human entertainment. That's the way it is. I have been a fan of legitimate theater my whole life. I love real plays. I mean, honest to God theater. Anybody who understands legitimate theater knows that movies don't even come close to the impact emotionally that you experience in a real live performance when you see a play performed on stage. For those of you who may have had the opportunity to see the movie Les Mis, if you had ever seen that on stage, the emotional impact of that was 1,000 times greater performed live on stage than it could ever be produced on film. It's just a whole entirely different experience. I had the opportunity, I lived in New York City for the entire decade of the 1990s, and I had the opportunity at one point to go to a fundraiser at Carnegie Hall, and it was a musical fundraiser. Various people who performed in various plays that were on Broadway at the time performed songs that they did in the play, The Lion King and Les Mis, and just a whole bunch of different plays. And this young black man got up and he performed The Circle of Life from The Lion King. I have never in my life, never been so moved by a song in my life. That blew me absolutely out of the water. And let me tell you, he blew the roof off of that place. Absolutely blew the roof off. It went wild by the time he got done. Now, you hear it when you watch the movie, The Lion King. And it does not have the impact or the energy or the ability to move you as it does when you see it performed live by real, honest-to-God human instruments and human talent. It's just an entirely different experience. And AI will never be able to compete with the human-to-human connection, the human-to-human experience of live performance. People in the music industry right now are doing everything in their power to poison minds against AI music. Of course, a lot of you folks aren't paying attention and you don't realize this is what's going on. But they are, because they are fearful that a chunk of the market that they now dominate, recordings, is going to be shared with little people. People who otherwise would not have any way in the universe of ever being able to tap into the recorded music industry. And all of a sudden, these people are just terrified. It shows their lack of security, their insecurity, because they're terrified that they're going to lose a chunk of their market when it comes to recordings. Now, you have to understand that the whole AI revolution is brand new. And I've said before, and I want to say it again, I am not a huge fan of AI as a whole. I have my reservations. I have thoughts about it. It concerns me. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm also smart enough to know that short of blowing up every AI center in the universe, you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen. Human beings never stop to ask, should I do something? They only look at, can I do something? All right? They never ask the question, should I? And therefore, it's going to happen, folks. You can bark against it till the cows come home. You can rail against it. You can be angry with it. You can carry on and make foolish accusations against people that use it for various things. The reality is, it's in the world to stay. It is going to be here. Government and legislation has not even begun to really address the AI issue. There are going to be innumerable issues that arise specifically because of the advancement of AI. As these issues arise, our government is going to have to respond. The legislation is going to have to be drafted and put into place so that, for instance, in my humble opinion, no one should be able to ever use, first of all, your material for any purpose. You have copyright. If you created it, it's yours. No one should be able to use that and profit from it, all right? That's one thing. So if you've written a song, nobody has the right to use the song you wrote. If you produced a song, produced something, I don't care if you used AI to produce it. The reality is, you're the one that brought that into existence. Had you not, now I write my own stuff. I say that all the time. But there are people who go online and they put some stupid little prompt into, Suno. I want a song about a dog that drools when he looks at food. And Suno, puts together a song that drools when he looks at food. That song would not exist if that person had not put that prompt into Suno. Okay? I know I would have never tried to write a song about a dog that drools. Okay? I know I wouldn't be looking to create a song about a dog that drools. So if somebody puts a prompt in, and AI produces this product in response to their prompt, the reality is there was a minuscule level of human involvement. Somebody had to tell the AI the concept or the idea behind what was to be created. A human being had to do that. You can't just go to Suno and say, oh, Suno, create a song for me. Suno will turn around and say, what kind of song? What do you want? What kind of, you have to give it a concept. You have to give it the basis, even if it's the most basic basis in the universe. You have to give it something to work with. Unlike a human being that can just, generate something in our imaginations, AI doesn't have that capability. So even if you produce something on Suno that is so idiotic and so ridiculous and sounds absurd, and folks, listen, I hear it every day online. I'll be playing stuff on, we have Roku here at the house, and I'll be playing YouTube on television, and then all of a sudden some song will pop up, and it's somebody wrote this. Either they wrote it and they are a hideous, terrible, horrible songwriter, or they created it with a program like Suno or TAD or something, But it's terrible, and the quality of it is terrible. And I did some research the other day, and it was interesting because the research that I did indicated that anybody with any intelligence should be able to look at the lyrics of a song and know whether or not it was generated by AI or whether or not it was generated by a human being. Because AI, at this point anyway, still everything is very basic. Its vocabulary is very basic. Its rhymes are very basic. The songs that it produces are very infantile, if I might say so. The lyrics are not very creative, the vocabulary is limited. I mean, it's just not at the same level as the ability of a human being. It's not. AI music is nowhere near at the level of being able to mimic the creativity of the human mind. It can't do it. And so the music industry is afraid they're going to lose, a big chunk of their pie when it comes to recorded music to the little people, which I'm sorry, get mad at me all you want to, but I'm all for some poor person who doesn't have a hope in hell of ever being able to get their song recorded in a studio. If they happen to have real talent and they can actually write a beautiful song, I'm all for them being able to use AI music to create a performance of that song so they can share it with the world. I don't have a problem with that. Doesn't bother me in the least. And of course, that's what I do. What I create, I'd like to think that my songs don't end with my production that I create at home on my computer. I'd like to think maybe one day some singing group or some performer might see one of my songs and decide they want to record it and perform it live. That would thrill me to no end. That would be the icing on the cake. My little production of it is not the end all and be all, but at the same time, it's a lot for me because I don't have anywhere near the resources, especially writing as many songs as I write and have written over the last 40 years. I don't have the resources to ever try to record them. I would have to just shop them around. First of all, I'd have to get sheet music made for every single song. I'd have to pay somebody to make some kind of a recording of it so that I could shop it around to singing groups and performers and all that. These people get thousands of submissions a year, and there's as much chance that they're going to see and hear yours as anything, okay? So I'm able to produce it myself. If the production is good and sounds good and moves people, I got news for you. That's because of my talent. That is because of my ability, not just in regard to the songwriting, and I don't mean this in a proud way, but I'm just trying to compare to the generic abilities of AI. My ability to write a song is part of it. My ability to make choices as to, is this going to be a Southern gospel? Is this going to be a contemporary Christian? Is this going to be a worship song? And like I've explained before, I choose literally for every recording I make every possible choice relative to that recording. I lay out the composition. I choose which instruments are used. I just did a song today, and I don't know why. I go with instinct. I don't know how to explain it. But as I was singing it in my head and singing it to myself, I said, I think this song, I want to go with a piano, which of course is kind of your anchor instrument. I'm going to add an acoustic guitar. I'm going to add an electric bass. I'm going to add a banjo and a fiddle, not a violin, but a fiddle. It's the same instrument for the most part, but kind of played different. And I said, in other words, it's kind of going to have a little bit of a bluegrassy sound, you know. And I created one of my songs today, and if you listen to it, you'll hear it. It has kind of a bluegrassy sound to it. I do that because I like my songs to be varied. You know, I don't want them all to sound alike. I don't want them all to have the same exact sound, you know. And tune-wise, melody-wise, every song I write sounds different. You know, I don't write them to sound the same. So when I put in the melody, when I put in the guide music and what have you, it obviously sounds different than my other songs. The only problem is I sing so terrible these days with my allergies. You can hear the tone of my voice, folks. I have a very difficult time. My breath control is horrendous. I can't hit notes. And because of that, it's extremely difficult for me to really sing the song the way I envision it being sung. But I'll try. And if I put that recording into the program and it winds up creating something, a lot of times it'll create something that sounds close in a lot of ways, but it misses the mark in a lot of ways because I couldn't sing it, you know, the right way. So then I have to try to work with it and work with it and work with it to try to make it as close to my vision for that song as I possibly can. And that takes a huge amount of work, hours and hours and hours. And people say, oh, you're not a producer. You're not producing your music. I'm not, really? Because I sure am making an awful lot of decisions. I'm cutting stuff out. I'm adding stuff in. I'm choosing every single aspect of the song. I put in what beat I want. I put in what the cadence is to be. I put in the beats per minute count. I mean, literally, I put in all this information because, like I said, I know a little bit about music, so I'm not completely ignorant of music basics, okay? I just don't write music. I wouldn't know a G from a B as far as I know it in terms of like hearing it and singing it. But what I mean by that is to write it on paper and somehow try to write a song in the key of B or whatever. I couldn't do that. I don't know how to do that. So my point is this. The music industry is aggravated because little guys finally have the opportunity to get a little tiny slice of the pie. We're able to share our AI-created music on Spotify and YouTube Music and Apple and what have you. And folks, if the stuff we create isn't good, it's not going to do anything anyway. Why people think somebody going in and saying, I want a song about a flea that sings, you know. Why people think that, oh my goodness, this is just the worst thing that could possibly happen to the music industry. Oh, this is horrible. People can just go in and put a prompt in and poof, they get a song. Yeah, they get a song. 99% of them are ridiculous. And the sad part of it is people without musical abilities listen to the first thing that Suno pops out, and they think it sounds good to them. And the only reason they think it sounds good to them is because they've never heard anything they've created, you know, put to music. So all of a sudden it's like somebody getting on there and saying, my dog has fleas and one of them sings and plays the piano, and, you know, they think that sounds just grand, okay? when you hear something that I, for instance, have produced, I've said it before, I keep saying it. I may have gone through 50 or 60, literally, or sometimes even more. I try to kind of keep it under like 60. But I may have gone through 50 or 60 iterations of that same identical tune. Just like a producer in a music studio. You start it, I'll listen to what the AI pops out for me. I listen to how close it is to what I'm wanting and whether or not it's on the mark. And if it's something I can fix, then I go in and I try to offer the commands that are necessary to get it to do what I want it to do. Many times the stinking AI does stuff that I just don't like from the get-go. And I'll hear literally the first minute of it, and they may have, vocal at the beginning of the song. I don't want that, and I'm not interested in that for that particular song. So therefore, I just immediately stop it, and it's like being in a studio. You're like, okay, stop, guys. We messed up here. So-and-so mispronounced the word, or this person burped, or this one did that, or that did that. We need to start over. And literally, I listen to the same song over and over and over. And honestly, when you're in the production process, it gets boring. As much as I love the song that I wrote, and I love them, but it gets boring when you sit and have to listen to that same tune over and over and over and over again. And sometimes I'll hear the lyric and I'll notice that it sounds great, the music sounds great, but this line is a little rushed, or that line is a little short, then I have to edit the lyric a little bit, and I have to maybe add a couple words or find another way to say what I'm trying to say so that it flows better and it sounds better. It's all part of the songwriting process. Hearing the song sung automatically lends itself to rewrites. You have to make edits. You have to make little changes here and there. Now, I've actually written a few songs, and I go through syllable counts when I write. I'll literally sit there and I'll be, okay, I was walking down the road and I saw a cat. Okay, that's so many syllables. And I'll write that next to the line, and then I'll go to the next line, do the same thing. And I get a feel for my syllable counts to make sure everything lines up well. But here's the thing. When a human voice sings these syllables, they don't all fall the same way. And sometimes to sing certain words, you have to kind of stop and take a breath and then sing this word. Like, for instance, if you say, I shall go to, versus I must go to. I shall kind of flows more easily than saying I must. Must, your mouth and the way you form the letters, the sounds to say the word, it kind of requires a whole reconfiguration of your mouth to say that second word. So a lot of times you hear it sung and you realize, I need to change that. Instead of saying I must, I need to say I shall. You see, so that it flows, or I will, whatever. I'm just trying to give some example of what I'm talking about. And so anyway, the music industry is trying to poison people's mind against AI because they are afraid they're going to lose a big piece of their pie. Here's the thing. They're making millions every year off of little people like you and me. We're buying their records, their recordings, we're buying their downloads, and they're making millions off of us. Then they make millions more through live performance. Well, I got news for you. None of my music, outside of somebody wanting to cover it, none of my music's ever going to be live performed. I mean, I may eventually, if I can ever get my voice back. My allergist wants to do surgery. My sinuses have literally closed up, and that's why it's so hard for me to sing. I can't breathe through my nose. So when I sing, I literally have to breathe through my mouth and sing at the same time. And when you sing, you can't breathe in and sing simultaneously. Normally, a singer, you pull through your nose and you put out through your mouth, and that kind of creates this flow like this. I can't do that. Like right now. See, if I try to breathe through my nose, I literally have to follow it with the breath through my mouth. I can't get enough air to come up through my passage. And they want to do surgery, and I can't afford the surgery. So long story short, the music industry will always have live performance. AI will never be able to produce live performance. But here's what gets them. Little people who don't have a lot of money and a lot of resources are actually going to be able to get a little tiny piece of the pie, and they don't like that. On top of that, it means they have to work harder. A lot of artists, they're happy to go in and cut an album every once in a while, and they don't necessarily care about doing live performance. And some artists, I'll be honest with you, I love Alicia Keys to death. I think she's gorgeous. I love her singing. But I'm going to tell you, I have never seen that girl do a live performance that sounded good. I'm being honest. That's my humble opinion. I've never seen her on television or anything. Every time I see her do a live performance, it's like, she's really struggling with that, But boy, listen to her records, listen to her recordings, and they're marvelous. She's wonderful. Well, of course, they're able to engineer it to death. The bottom line is this. Government and the legislature, the Congress, they're eventually going to catch up. They're eventually going to be having to make decisions and create laws which regulate AI-produced material and what have you. They're already doing it as it relates to copyright. You can't get, if AI produces the lyrics to a song, you cannot get copyright to that song. All of my songs go through copyright process with the Library of Congress. I spend the money and I go to the effort to copyright everything I write because I wrote it. And so I do that. But AI's never, ever going to be able to do everything that human beings are capable of doing. And that's the last thought I was trying to think. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. I've got less than 2 minutes. The other thing is the music industry gouges people to death. If you want to watch a live performance, if you want to go to a live concert, most people in America today cannot afford to do it. It's so cost prohibitive. I mean, my goodness, even small artists that, that aren't as big as others, it costs $100 and $200 and $300 and $400 for a ticket just to go to a concert. I am not a concert goer as a rule, but I've been to 2 concerts in my life with Cher. I'm a big fan of Cher, believe it or not. I loved her back in the 70s, and I still love her. I've been a big fan of Cher for decades. I've seen her in concert live twice. It cost me an arm and a leg. So the music industry, they're able to make millions off a live performance from people who have more money than the average person, but they don't want to lose a little piece of the pie from the little people. Number one, the little people who can benefit from being able to share their talent and their abilities, and the little people who can't afford to go to the concerts. So folks, cut people a little slack, okay? Give people a little bit of slack, for heaven's sakes. AI is a blessing and a benefit to many people. There's a lot of talent out there in the songwriting and composition and producing realms. Give those people an opportunity to share their talents with the world, and let's not be so vitriolic. All right? God bless.